Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Let's get started. So, short introduction. Myself, Shashank Mishra, and working at Prophecy as a data engineer, and that is what I am going to present today. So, let's quickly talk about what Prophecy is and the Copilot capabilities of it to build the data pipeline very quickly, and how to use it, what is there for the data engineers and the data analyst. So one important factor for any data product to get successful, and it is heavily dependent on the high quality and well-governed data. And in order to achieve that, these two folks, the data engineers and data analysts, will be working together. And that is the part where two options in front of us that how we are going to achieve it. So option one, and we will look at the challenges. So one thing is pretty sure, data engineers can achieve this. They can code all the transformation, but at what cost? Like data analysts, data engineers, both are working closely together. So data analysts bringing all the requirements, sending it to the data engineers. They are working on it, giving it back to the analyst. Then they are verifying whether it is up to their requirement or not. And maybe there might be certain changes, and again, things are going back to the data engineers. So this cycle goes on and on. And that is the part where we are compromising with a lot of capabilities of the data engineers, because they might not get a chance to work on the bigger pictures or solving the more complex data engineering problems, engineering challenges. They won't be able to solve it because they are just occupied in this whole back and forth of small changes, integrations. So what will be the impact on the data analyst in this case? They will be blocked because multiple tiny changes back and forth, so delayed output to the stakeholders. Option two, where the analyst can prepare the data on their own, but what is the risk here? The risk is all about the costing, quality, and security, because data analysts might be using the same copy of the data, writing their own logics, transformation, might be expert in different tools. So they are using the same thing and writing the same copy of the data. So costing part, definitely same copy of the data, different tools, more cost is involved. Quality, there will be a question like the data analysts are using the right patterns to solve that problem or not, as per the company standards or not. Then the security part, like the same copy of the data might get written at multiple places, so managing all those permissions, and there could be a security risk as well. So these are the two options where we have seen if data engineers are building it, then what is the risk? If data analysts are building it, then what is the risk here? So what is the demand of business in this case? So on the left, we can see self-service, where data analysts are using something which they are pretty much comfortable with, probably drag and drop features, building the pipeline very quickly. And data engineers can focus more on the scalability, performance part, and the productionization, data quality, etc. So both are sharing the responsibilities, and things will be done very quickly. And that is the part where Prophecy is coming into the picture. So recently we have launched the Prophecy 4.0, which is primarily focused, we are calling it as a Prophecy for the analyst. So in this one, you can see 3 layers: the data integration platform, where you are building everything. You have multiple sources to connect with. It could be a SaaS application, different warehouses, different databases. And in between, you are using just the simple drag and drop features, configuring different components to apply your transformation. And behind the scenes, all the best practices are being followed. Be it the versioning, like your whole code base will be maintained on the GitHub. You can connect it, the whole CI/CD part, everything you are doing from the Prophecy itself, not juggling here and there to maintain the simple pipeline itself. And the cloud data platform, Databricks. So in the 4.0 version, which is much more focused towards the Prophecy for the analysts, so natively things will be handled by the Prophecy on the Databricks compute platform itself. So this is the high level picture how Prophecy looks like. So what you can see on your screen, the very left, multiple sources we can connect with, and these are the entities which we are calling as a gem, like you are configuring the things here, and you can send it to multiple destinations. So the interesting point about Prophecy is not a typical low-code ETL where things are hidden from you, that what you are running behind the scenes. If I'm a data engineer, I'm building a pipeline, let's say more Spark-oriented. So although from UI, you are using the drag and drop features, behind the scenes, we are generating clean and optimized Spark code. You can see it, the entire code base, you can ship that code to even any like internal platforms you have, like you can build all that CI/CD. So like whatever is the implementation, nothing is hidden from the user itself. Like in multiple low-code ETL platforms, you might have seen, you are just doing the things from the front end, but what they are doing behind the scenes, you have no clue about it. And same for the SQL. If you are creating the SQL-oriented pipeline, so we are generating open source DBT code, which you can run on any type of warehouse, it be Databricks, Snowflake, and BigQuery. Similarly, for the Spark-oriented pipelines, you can have a multiple compute platforms, like your Databricks again, Dataproc, Synapse. So it is more like the IDE for the analyst and the data engineers. You are just coding your things, focusing on your logic, and you can have multiple compute platforms. It's not a low-code ETL platform which is giving you the compute capacity, just the ID, connect with any particular compute platform, and your whole pipeline will get executed on top of it. So you can see, like analysts can simply, if they have files in their local, they can put it there and analyze it quickly, or can bring from different sources. 4.0, where we have, as I said, much more focused on the more simplified and the automated version of scheduling the pipeline as well. So what you are building, it is actually going as the workflow in the Databricks itself, scheduled properly, and the observability part on the Prophecy itself, where you can see how your pipelines are running and all that. And this will be the major section where I have a demo as well, like it's already recorded one. I will show you that how you can leverage the Copilot capabilities, just give the natural language statements, and your whole pipeline will be ready in just one single click. You just register your data sets, just keep on feeding what all transformation you want to do, and it is going to prepare everything for you from the scratch. And the most important part where the data engineers are not much comfortable, the documentation as well. Just select your pipeline itself, click on the documentation, and it will like completely document your pipeline as well. Simplified version control, that's what I said. Multiple versions of your deployment will be maintained, so any point of time you can revert back on any specific version you have. And you can see that the data analysts will be focusing more on the pipeline development, and the data engineers are focusing much more on the governance part of it. Cool. I'm not much into the PPTs because I would like to show you that when I said if you are a data engineer, you are building something. So just this is the simple interface of Prophecy. So let's say you want to build a particular pipeline. So there are four major components of it. One is Fabric, and Fabric is basically nothing, the compute environment. So if I simply go here and if I type dbx compute, so we are simply trying to create the environment where I can configure multiple kind of instances as well, multiple kind of job clusters, and as per my job requirement, and I can attach that thing. And similarly, in the schedule pipeline, I can mention the same, that which particular compute or job cluster should be used. And for all the collaboration part, you can see the team section where all the users like who are collaborating on a project can get access. You can add it and give the required permissions to them. So this is the part where you can see it's the provider is Databricks, more focused towards the Prophecy for analysts. Now, if I switch to Spark, so here you can see Databricks, Livy, EMR, Synapse, and I can connect to anyone. Similarly, for SQL, you have Snowflake, BigQuery, Trino, Redshift. And similarly, for the scheduling part as well, for orchestrating the pipeline, we can go ahead for The Databricks and even the Cloud Composer, simply Airflow. We are using that one, and we can orchestrate the pipeline there. Then the another component will be the project, and project is something which is basically like it consists your pipelines, your registered data sets, and apart from that, all the UDFs you are writing and whatever jobs you are scheduling there, it is going to contain all those things. So this is a simple pipeline, and here you can see on the right-hand side, I have different environments which I have created, different fabrics. I can attach it to anyone at given point of time. And here you can see these different clusters, because the fabric which I have created, I defined 2 job cluster sizes there, so any point of time I can use it. And let's say my pipeline depends on multiple Scala dependencies or the PyPy dependencies. All those things can be simply configured from here as well, the dependencies section, and during the runtime, all these things will be installed on your cluster very quickly. Similarly, now as a data engineer, you might be thinking how I can even optimize this pipeline, because I might need to pass certain Spark-related properties. So how I can do that? Come to the pipeline settings, and you will find all those things which you can configure, because as I said, behind the scenes, we are generating a open source Spark code. And this is the whole pipeline structure. You can see multiple categories, sources. If I want to go and I want to register anything, I have multiple options. Let's say test dataset, bad in naming, apologies for that. So you can see multiple files, Parquet, JSON from whatever, like S3, ADLS, GCS from wherever we want to read, warehouses, catalog tables. So this is how we can connect to multiple sources. We can configure it. And then in between, we have these, in Prophecy, we basically call it gems, like the simple configurable entities. At the end, like let's say we want to filter some data on some condition, we can write it, proper expression builder here. And similarly, like the aggregate option, so you have the aggregate expression, you are using the Copilot capabilities here as well to write any expression, group by, pivot, whatever you want to do. So more of like proper drag and drop features where you are just configuring the things. Even if you are not a Spark expert, you are still generating the quality Spark code in the backend. And let's say if I just simply execute this pipeline, I would be able to even see the interims in between, which actually help us to debug the pipeline very quickly, that what a particular transformation is generating. Is it like as per the requirement, all the logic, whatever it is. So if I click it here, you can see in between, we are able to see the interims as well for the quick check, for quick debugging itself. And this is the part where magic happens. If I switch to the code part, and this is what I was talking about, that it is a simple quality Spark code. We are not doing anything where like the implementation is hidden from the user. You have your Spark code ready, now use it wherever you want to. Or if you simply want to use Prophecy for all that management stuff, you can manage it from here itself. And this is a simple example for the SQL-driven pipeline where we are basically creating the models. And as I said, the open source DBT code would be generated behind the scenes. So for an example, this one. Models are nothing but the simple pipeline component itself, where we can pull any table depending upon what fabric I have created. So the data warehouses basically in between performing certain operations. Then there will be a target model, which is eventually a view, a materialized view, or another table. Then we can have these models. We can read the data from these models. And behind the scenes, if I switch to the code view again, so you will see a proper open source DBT code. So this is how it is. And yep, now I think I should show you the main part, which is the Copilot capabilities of the Prophecy for analysts, that how you are doing it. So recently, one of our colleagues presented it, and I would be playing the same demo for you so that you have a better idea about it. So let's do that.
Greetings. Today
Yeah.
we're going to take a brief tour of the Prophecy Data Integration Platform, specifically the new Prophecy for Analysts, enabling self-service data preparation for business users. Let's take a look. We're looking at the Prophecy interface. Here you can see a blank canvas. The canvas is used to design a data pipeline to serve up data for various business purposes, analytics, data science, etc. Prophecy's UI enables, through a combination of drag and drop and the use of generative AI Copilot, to build out data pipelines behind the scenes, generating open source code that executes in your preferred cloud data warehouse. Prophecy never actually accesses your data directly. A couple of things to note here in the UI. You'll see here is my attached cloud data platform, in this case, Databricks. You'll also see across the top what we call our gems. Our gems are the components that are pre-configured and ready to drag and drop into the UI to build out your data transformations and integrations. You can see a good subset of these here as I browse through. The other thing to note here is the customization. Because we are open source code behind the scenes, the platform is greatly extensible by that. Also note here in our Explorer on the left-hand window, you can explore different objects within the project. So project being a prophecy construct to include objects that are respective of a specific business area, things like pipelines, data sets, etc., or apps, our new self-service mode for running various pipelines for a business user, and the ability to browse the various connected environments. And you can see here that I'm connected to my Databricks environment as well as a Snowflake environment, but we also have the ability to connect many other environments for inclusion into data pipelines, integrating data from many disparate data sources. What we're going to do today is we're going to build a very simple pipeline respective of a business problem. I'm an analyst. I've been tasked by my management to build a top 25 sales report, getting an understanding of who my top 25 customers are on a daily basis. So something I'd want to run nightly so that a dashboard on my executive's dashboard would be filled with the proper information every morning when he logs in. What we're going to do is we're going to leverage our Copilot. And I'm going to start by, just because I know I need to combine orders and customers, I'm just going to ask that question of the Copilot or prompt it. And you can see here that I'm combining orders and customers, not technical terms, just natural language. I could use technical terms if I'd like as well. You can see here by submitting this, the Prophecy Copilot goes off, finds the available metadata based on my security profile, and from this configures a series of gems to combine those two data sets. So you can see here I've got my orders data, I've got my customers data, and it's configured a join between the two. That's great, but we want to take this further. Obviously, we want to get an understanding of who my customers are, where they're from, how much money they're spending, et cetera, et cetera. But before we do that, we probably want to do something like make sure our data is clean. So let's just drag a data cleansing gem here and attach that. You notice it attaches nicely. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, you know what, hey, let's remove any row that has entire nulls on every field. We're also going to select all of our columns, available columns. And what we're going to do is we're going to place nulls in that with an NA. And then we're also going to just get rid of some trailing and leading white spaces. So we can do this in bulk across the entire data set, and we'll save that. All right. Now, let's take a quick run here. Now, you can always run this pipeline anywhere you want. And what's happening behind the scenes is the code is being generated behind the scenes. It's being submitted to our cloud data warehouse. And what it'll do is generate the interim sampling of that data, which allows me to see what the data looks like at any point in my pipeline so that I can troubleshoot or get an understanding that I'm doing exactly what I want to see. And you can see these interim samples being generated. The one I'm really concerned with here is the last one, because I want to see that indeed we have our nicely joined cleansed data here. But I also might want to take a look at some profiling information. So what we're going to do is we're going to enable the profile. You're going to get these nice little histograms of distribution of the values within each of these columns. And we can actually take this a little bit deeper by going into our expanded profile, where we're getting some even more metrics on the various columns that we are profiling, as well as the histogram we're seeing. And we can navigate here accordingly as we see fit across all of the columns in this data set. So my data looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back out here and I'm going to apply some transformations. So what we're going to do is come over here to our prepare, and I'm going to drag in a reformat gem. A reformat gem allows me to select the columns that I want to work with, as well as build any new enrichment expressions that may be of value. So knowing that I'm going to work with customers, let's take our customer ID, let's take order ID so we can do an order count. And obviously I want to know how much people are spending. I'm going to rename this to sales amount to make it more descriptive going forward. And I'm also going to add a new enriched column called full name. Now, I'm just putting a descriptive name in the target column name there, and you'll note that the Copilot behind the scenes is proactive and actually recommends the expression necessary to generate that. Now, that's tremendously powerful because if I didn't know what the syntax was, it's going to tell it to me and create it for me. Now, it goes even further. I can actually invoke the Copilot and say something like, give me company name from email. Again, natural language, but in this case, it nicely generates a expression to generate the company name from the email field, right? The other thing that's great here from a Copilot perspective is if you do choose to build your own expressions and you make mistakes, as I'm very apt to do, I remove this parentheses, you see that I get a warning, and best of all, we can just use the Copilot to fix it. We'll apply the fix, go back, save, and we can go on our way. Again, a great time savings for anyone who does happen to make some fat-fingered mistakes as they're preparing their data. Okay, so for the sake of time, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just come in here, invoke the Copilot, and extend my pipeline with a series of prompts that I'm not going to bother with you watching me type. I'm going to aggregate total sales and order count by full name and company. I want to show my top 25 customers by total sales, and I want to reformat my total sales to 2 decimal places since it is a dollar value. So we'll submit that to the Copilot, and you'll note here that the Copilot goes away, thinks, evaluates the metadata, and in this case, creates 4 more gems of varying types and configures them as well. So we're aggregating, we're going to reformat to round our dollar value. We're going to order by that total sales aggregate, and then finally we're going to limit that to the 25 I asked for. So let's take a look at this. So we'll just run our pipeline up to this point. Again, you're going to see these interim samples start to generate. Our code behind the scenes is being submitted down to our cloud data warehouse. We're not actually accessing in the Prophecy environment your data at all. And at the end of this, you're going to see the output that I would expect. In this case, we're going to see our top 25 customers in descending order by total sales with their associated order count. Now, this is the exact information that I want to include in my executive's dashboard. So the last step here is really just to drag in a target and or a table. And since I'm going to, in this case, write it back directly to a table in my cloud data warehouse, I'm just going to drag my table in here and connect it up. Now I can configure this here. Maybe I want this to go a few other places. Let's take this out. Maybe I want to write this right out to Tableau server. That's something that's possible. Or maybe I want to generate emails directly to my executive. That's also possible, as well as a number of other sources or targets that I can configure to write this data to. The important thing to note here is that we can generate this data. We can enable an end user to do it on their own, and then we can publish it really into any of the available targets necessary for the downstream analytics to take place, whether it be data science, BI, or just general output. Okay? A couple other things to note here. Now that I've built my pipeline, what is my least favorite part of doing any of this is documentation. Our Copilot come in here and we'll fully document our pipelines as well. So you can see here I've done an explain on my entire pipeline, and when I do so, we've now documented that pipeline and we can save that with it as well. Okay. Couple of other things to note here. You're going to see that we've got our the ability to manage and version this particular pipeline as we work and collaborate with others on it. So you can see here that I can save this to a draft. It's going to generate my description for me. I can save that draft, and then I can finally even navigate this from a version and draft perspective. And if for some reason I need to revert to a former version, I can restore that version as well. So now I have my pipeline. I can schedule this to run every night at 12 a.m. and my executives dashboard is going to be refreshed with their top 25 on a daily basis every day. And that was my ultimate goal. And I wanted to be able to do that again on my own in a matter of minutes without having to open a ticket and wait for my data engineering team to get me that information, right? So that concludes my demonstration. Please contact Prophecy if you have any questions or would like to have a more deeper discussion. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So you saw that how we are using the Copilot capabilities of the Prophecy to expedite the entire pipeline development process. And you also saw that we are not abstracting anything from the user. Whatever you are writing, you are able to see and execute it. And yeah, we are working on few more exciting development where why to even feed things one by one to Copilot, why not to have a templatized BRE itself and feed it to the Copilot and it will generate your pipeline. So these are the few exciting developments we are working on. So yeah, this is pretty much I had to present about Prophecy. And yeah, I would like ask if you want to play around it. We have a 21-day free trial version of it available. You can register for it. And you can try on your own how Prophecy looks like, and maybe some of your use cases might fit into that one. So would be a good platform for you and your data team for sure. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Anyone, I forgot to, anyone having any question, feel free to ask, else I am here till evening. Maybe you want to connect later.